I'm Coney Cat, and today I'm going to take a look at Canopy. It's a great little 1 to 4 player game. Plays fast, plays light, card drawing, wonderful rainforest theme game. So, I'm going to show you what's in the box. I'm going to show you what you get if you get the deluxe version. I'll also show you how to set up for a 2-player game and how to set up for a 4-player game because there's a bit of a difference. So let's check it out. This is everything you'll find in the base game for Canopy. We have our starter tree trunk cards here for up to 4 players. We have a solo deck if you decide to play the solo challenge and play by yourself. That's what this deck is for. We have seed cards here. We have the rainforest cards here. There are 28 advanced cards to add to the deck if you choose. We have wildlife tokens. We have the victory points here. We have player help cards. We have tallest tree rewards and biggest tree reward here. And up at the top, we have our current season cards that change depending on a 2-player game or a 4-player game. That's everything in the base game. This is everything that comes with the deluxe edition. We get all these wonderful wooden tokens for the wildlife tokens. We get a first player marker tree here. We get a fabric canopy bag. We get the season growth cards are now cardboard and illustrated beautifully. And that's everything you get with the deluxe. Setup for a 2-player game is going to look a little bit like this. As you can see, we are going to use these green sides of the cards. These are the 2-player side cards. The purplish bluish sides are for 3 to 4 players. So we're going to use these green sides. We're going to take this one that says current season and new growth, set that in the middle of our table here. We have new growth 2 and 3. That's going to go right here. We have this card here that has season 2, season 3, and the seed pile. That's going to go off to the side here. If you were playing with the deluxe version, you would use these instead of these here. So this one has the current season new growth 1. That would replace this. New growth 2 would replace this card and this here. And that's how you would set up using the deluxe version. You will not be able to use these for the 3 to 4 player game. I'm going to continue setup with these base game cards here, and we are going to get our rainforest cards together. You are going to remove 10 cards and make 3 piles of the rainforest cards, set up one next to the current season, one for season 2, and one for season 3. It's up to you whether you want to add the advanced cards to it or not. And it's also up to you if you want to add the jaguars. I find this one jaguar to be a bit harsh when you're playing a 2-player game. At the end of each season, your opponent has to get rid of a wildlife card, and this can be pretty brutal if this card shows up early on. But they do give you extra points when you pair them together, so I would say make some house rules how you want to handle this particular jaguar card if he comes up. He does give you -3 points if he's in your forest, but he is brutal to the other player. So if you want to play more cutthroat, maybe go by this. If you want to play a more friendly rainforest game, maybe just use him for the points. We are then going to set up our new growth piles here. You're going to take cards from the current season. You're going to put 1 card in the new growth 1 pile, 2 cards in the 2 pile, and 3 cards in the 3rd pile here. And we're not going to forget our little seed pile here. You need to shuffle those up and put those next to the seed pile over here. Last but not least, we need to get our starter tree trunks. That's these cards here. It's the purple bluish back, and it's a tree trunk here. Each player is going to have one of these to place in front of them to start the gameplay. The flow of the gameplay is very, very simple. The first player is going to look at this pile 1. They are going to decide whether they want to keep this card, play it immediately, or pass on it. If they pass on it, they set it back down, they put another card on top of that, and then they look at pile 2. They decide if they want to keep these and play it right away, or place it back down and pass. You add another card to that pile. If they look at 3 and they're like, nope, I don't want any of these either, they can pass on that as well. Place a card here, and then they have to blindly draw from the deck, and then they have to play this card in front of them. Gameplay will keep continuing on until all the cards have been fully played out of the current season and there are no piles left. There is no going back. You can't decide if you go to pile 2, I wanted pile 1. You can't do that. And when you are fully finished playing all the cards, then we are at end of season scoring. And when you have fully finished a current season and everything's been played and scoring has been done, you are going to move the next season to the current season. So we would be on season 2. We would move season 2 to current season. We would set this up again like we did at the start. And we would play through this season in the same exact way. When we are down to the last and final season here, again, you're going to set it up. You are going to put the piles here. We're going to play through until all the cards and piles have been completely played. And then we're going to do end of season scoring and then end of game scoring. Setup for a 3 to 4 player game is pretty different than a 2-player game. As you can see, I'm using these bluish, purplish sides of the new growth cards. You are going to take the current season and the new growth number 3, place that in the middle of everybody. You are going to take these new growth 1 and 2s with this little new growth symbol. You're going to place this in between each player. So if you have 4 players, you'll have 4 of these out. And if you have 3 players, you would only have 3. And you want to make sure this little new growth symbol is facing away from the table. For a 3-player game, you are going to remove 10 of the Rainforest cards. For a 4-player game, you include everything, all the advanced cards, all the Rainforest cards, you don't remove anything. And you're going to split the deck into 2 piles. You're going to put one pile by the current season, then other one nearby. Keep your seed deck nearby. We've got our wildlife tokens nearby, point tokens nearby, our tallest tree rewards, and our largest tree rewards nearby. And then the final bit of setup here is creating the new growth piles. These are also a bit different than we do for the 2-player game. We are going to take one and place it in between each player under this new growth spot here. So depending how many players you have, 3 or 4, you're going to have 3 or 4 of these out. And then you're going to place 2 cards under this new growth 3 here. Table's getting a little big to do this. And that is how you're going to set up for a 3 to 4 player game. You will also need to give everybody their starter tree trunk cards. And once you pass those out, we're ready to play. In a 3 to 4 player game, the flow of the game still plays the same. You're going to look at a pile, you're going to decide whether you keep it, and if you decide to pass on it, you add a card to that pile. And we are still using the number order 1, 2, and 3. If you can see, if I am this player over here, as you can see, if I am this player over here, I am going to look at pile 1 first. I can look at this. If I decide to keep it, I play it in my hand. If I decide to pass it, I place it back down and add a card from the current season here. Maybe I should move those a little further away. Add it to this pile here under the new growth. Then I can look at 2. I can check out 2 here. If I decide to keep it, I play it. If I decide to pass, I put it back here, add to that pile, and then I can go to the center pile, check that pile out. I can keep it, play it, replenish this pile here, or I put it back. We add a card to that pile, and I draw blind from the deck, and that has to be played in my hand. That is how the entire game will play amongst 3 to 4 people. Whoever's in the middle in between these spots here, these are 1 and 2, 1 and 2. So you're going to look at the piles on the numbers, right? So if you're this player, you would look at this pile first, then this pile. If you're the player over here, you would look at this pile first, then this pile. And that is the flow of this game. It's really fun with 4 people. And when we get all the cards played and completely from the season, then we're going to do end of season scoring. It's the end of season scoring. We are going, all of the cards for the current season will have been played. So none of these would be out here. They would all be in the players' hands here. And then we would just set up, we'd move this new season here. That's now our current season. And we would reset all of the piles for the next season, like so. Add 2 to the middle here. And we're ready to go for the second season. And when we play all of these cards completely out of the current season, then we do end of season scoring and end of game scoring. Here's an example of what things will look like when you get to the end of a season. And again, the end of the season is triggered when everything has been played and there is no way an active player can grab a pile anymore. So there could be a pile left behind still on the table if the active player doesn't have a pile for them to pick. Usually in a 2-player game, that's not the case, but the 3 to 4 player game, it's more likely. So with our end of season scoring, there is kind of an order here to go through. We have wildlife. We activate any wildlife effects. These are just scoring points, so nothing happens here. The next step is to check out seed cards. So these are our seed cards here. With seed cards, you are going to draw 3 cards from the seed pile and keep one and place it into your forest. So we're going to draw 3 right here off the top. We have 3 we can have here. If we have 2 of these, we get 7 points. So we're going to take one of those. And then we put the rest to the bottom here. The next item on our end of scoring list is threats. There's fire, there's disease. There are immediate threats that can happen along the way. I'm not going to get into too much detail into all the cards here, but just kind of give you an overview. But with disease and with fire, if you have 1 card, nothing happens. But if you have 2 cards or 3 cards, it does trigger things to happen at the end of the season. Next, we are going to score our trees, our beautiful, beautiful trees. You have options when you play tree cards into your forest. You can continue to build off of the same one, like here, like I did here, or you could build a second one. You can choose. The only thing you have to do is if you have this canopy card, you have to play it on top of a tree if it's available. If you do not have a tree in which to finish, this gets discarded immediately. So we are going to have finished that tree here because this is our tallest one. And when you have the tallest tree, you get extra bonus points. So you want to go for high trees too. You may not get a lot of points, like this one isn't going to score us much until we get some other things on this tree, but this one's not doing too bad. To score the tree, we get the points that are actually shown on the tree trunks themselves. We get 0 for this one, nothing for our starter one, but we do get 2 points for this guy here. So we'd have 2 points for this. Our canopy says we get 1 point for every tree trunk in our tree here. So we have 2 here, then we would get 3, 4, 5 points for this tree. We would score it using our wildlife token here. We'd grab our 5 marker here. And if you had the deluxe version, you can use these wooden tokens instead of these to say that you scored it. Then you're going to decide which player has the tallest tree between the 2 of you at the end of the season. I'm going to say I have the tallest tree. I have no competition right now. And I get the first season tree here, which is 3 for the tallest tree. Second season would get 4 points. Third season would get 5 points. If there is a tie for the tallest tree, both players get the points equal to it. So if my other player friend also had 3 tree trunk tall tree and was able to score it, we would both share, and that was their tallest tree and my tallest tree, we would share the 3 points. I'm going to grab the tree 3 and give my partner the three tokens here. So we'll just give them leaves. Incomplete trees do not score at all, but they can be played upon for the subsequent seasons. And when you get a canopy, then you can score it at the end of the next season. Last but not least, we get to score our plants and weather. We have these rain and sun cards. If you have 1 of each, you get 5 points. This Monstera, if you have 1 card, you only get 0. If you have 2, you get 0. If you 3 or more, we get 8. We have nothing. We have 2 cards, so that's not worth anything. And I forgot to discard this card as we score along here. Our wildlife cards stay until the end of the entire game. We don't score them until the end. This Bromelia, we have 2, so we would get 7 points for that. And all of these would be scored and discarded completely. And this is and the disease card would also, when we had resolved that, would also be discarded. So when we continue on to see the next season here, we will have our wildlife cards still out here and our trees. At the end of the game scoring, you are going to then score your wildlife cards here. This guy, if I don't have his mated pair, he's worth 2. But if I had both of them, I would get 5. But I would not get both points if I had both of them. You get the higher of the 2 points for what you have. And then after we score the wildlife, the largest forest bonus is awarded to the player with the most completed trees. So whoever has the most completed trees would get this 10 guy here. And if there's a tie, you share it. The player with the most points wins at the end of the game. If there's a tie, the player with the most wildlife cards still in their forest win. And that's how you play Canopy. That's everything I can show you about Canopy. If you like this game, if you're new to this game and like this game, they currently have a Kickstarter for their sister game called Canopy Evergreen. I will put that link in the description for you to check out. I backed it, of course, because I just adore this game. So I will see you next time for the next game. Bye!